is the environment. EHS department take care of everything. Jack of all trade, master of none. He controls everything and he pretends himself to be the boss and a leader. Whenever I go, I know this, I know this. And when I start asking question, he is nil but a nil. So, corporate social environmental response, CSR or CER, is a specialized division. Some big business house have a separate division of CSR. Remember, right? I don't want to name those. You must understand, and if you do internet search, you can get. And corporate social and governance, the first 1,000 listed companies, SEBI have opened this department either as an alone entity or in conjunction with the EHS department. So you must verify what kind of department and organization who have called you for intervention or doing CSR or CR activity, what department do they have. If they have these separate department, it means they are well knowledgeable people. And if they have only one department, it means they don't know, it is all mixed up, right? So you have to prepare according to them, yourself, whatever you see. The second thing is what aspect they are dealing. Are they dealing only activities related to environment, health and safety? Are they dealing with environment, social governance? Are they dealing corporate social responsibility? Or report related? So whosoever will be dealing environment, social governance are dealing BRSR, filling corporate and annual CSR report. So these two, if ESG is there, then report aspect of BRSR will be already there. And if CSR is there doing so, annual CSR report is already there. So these 5 things activity should be there in an entity. If they all are a listed company 1,000, then these department, these 3 department and these 5 activities are must in that particular entity. That you keep assume and you have to prepare according to that only, because these people are knowing about each and every subject matter related to ESG, related to CSR, related to corporate environment responsibility, right? So before going, what they have, you must know so that you can prepare accordingly. The next part, the important part. Now we have seen, no, in 2013, it was very mandatory to have a governing body, right? CSR committee. Now, when the ESG came in, then governing body, importance of governing body becomes very crucial. So, whatever decision in this regard have been taken, CSR, CER, ESG, it is all through the corporate governing body. And if it is related to CSR under certain norms, which we have seen 10 crore or 50 lakhs, whatsoever, I didn't remember, then the CSR committee resolution is very essential. First thing, identifying issue. I've been called by many entities. We have fund. Sinha Sahab, tell me what we have to do. They don't know. They don't know because they are in the vicious cycle of doing business, production, bringing raw material, processing it, selling it. They don't know even the ABCD of the community level. So identify issue. How you will suggest identifying the issue? That you must know. Can you tell me, if you come across such situation, what issue you will be suggesting to them? It is a very common sense question now. I have given you enough to answer this question. Tell me, how do you identify the issue? What suggestion you will give to your client? Pauline, tell me. Mr. Pauline is a participant. He has worked with me in lot of projects. So I need answer from him. What we used to do early. No answer. 36 people are there and nobody is answering. अरे बाबा सही गलत कुछ तो बोलो, say something. Public hearing, but public hearing doesn't come every time. It is a conditional. Yeah, who is this? Shilpa, very good. Ghanshyam, very good. You have to do need assessment survey. I have done lot. Whosoever call me, I always say that, sir, first we have to do need assessment survey. What is that? We'll go into the community and we will ask their priority. Now here the conflict comes. The community demand is very high and we have a limited resources. And the management say, no, you don't do this. I will tell you what to do it. So very nice. You have to do the need assessment survey. This is the one of the most, I'll be explaining you all these things. This is the first step to understand the priority of an organization. Assigning budget. Without budget, you cannot do anything. Take a commitment, take a resolution in the board that this much amount is to be spent in the community for such and such program. If you don't do this, then there is upper hand of the entity. They may continue, they may stop, but once the resolution is passed, they are committed to do it. Be sure without assignment of the budget, you don't do any activity. Because at that time, I also was very happy initially. Okay, sir, I will do it. And I started work. And then the person said, I don't have the budget. You have to wait for 6 months. So make sure the things go in the right way to assign the budget. That's one of the things. Then comes approval. When the budget is there, then there is an approval procedure. If there is no approval by the committee or the finance department, you cannot execute anything. Make sure, don't make your efforts go wastage. Make sure that the things have been done, all these. Now, whenever I go, I ask all these things. How much budget is there? How much been approved? How much you will allot us? How much you will allot me as my consultancy fee? Everything should be very clear, right? Then come assigned responsibility. Now, what will happen? You will get your MOU with that entity, or the MOU that is in relation to you as a professional. But within the organization, within the entity, they will assign some people that you work with Mr. Dr. Harshit Sinha. He is going to do. So whenever any difficulty comes, you have to meet those people. Means those people from the commercial activity will be assigned me to monitor my work, to help me in my difficulties. To whom you are concerned, you are not going to concern head of the organization every time. He will go away, he will do his business. He has shed the responsibility of his role to you. Now you have to execute, and you come across some difficulty, then you don't have to approach the head, you have to approach the assigned person. Keep in mind, because all these things are the practical difficulty. When you execute it, you face such difficulty and you got stuck it. To whom you have to ask. Okay, the next thing is, almost 100 social project I have done it, and 50 in relation to corporate social responsibility or corporate environment responsibility as per the TOR conditions. And you see what model I have designed, that when we talk about the social, and if you see all international agency will throw everything within the organization, that they are more concerned. Social means the workers. Largely, they will define their priority towards the worker, whether they get employee welfare, business welfare entity, whatsoever, right? They get well-being, safety, gender diversity, but all are concerned within the organization. I am the first person who see within the organization as well as in the community. Community, why? Because we have a CSR law, we have CER law. So this is the model designed by me. And these are the ESG element, environment, social and governance. And I take responsibility of all these ingredients to evaluate whenever there is a program in relation to social. I see within the community employee welfare, and as well as outside within the community welfare. I have shown you the welfare approach, then sustainable approach and right-based approach. The worker who is working in the factory is having some rights. Some norms have been set up for the workers how to. You have to cross-check that norm. Even in BRSR report, these norms they have asked us to fill up what is the status of that. Similarly for the community. So this is my model. I always see social aspect within the organization as well as outside the organization. Remember this model and you have to think. Now there is a major difference that we are looking the worker who are working in the organization. When we talk in the community, then there is a norm that fear of influence of that production house is a 10-kilometer radial distance. Whatever comes in the 10-kilometer radial distance, 5 kilometer is a core zone, 10 kilometer is a buffer zone. Those who are in the environmental field, they will know. And you have to more restrict it to the 5 kilometer initially, then you have to expand your. So here, whatever the resident villages, resident community comes, you have to look, you have to design the intervention to those. This is the norm which most of the entity now follow. Earlier what happened, their production unit is at one place and they are doing intervention, social intervention in other place. Because see, it is a moral responsibility. You are working in this area, you have taken the land, you have borrowed the land, water, everything, local human resources, everything. So it is become to duty to serve the local population. Keep in mind, whenever you go into the entity, you say that I am going to design the intervention of the surrounding villages, not to the other areas. Okay. Next is, we have already talked this direct risk. If entity suggests, no, we want poverty, but if that area is very inclined towards the low poverty or the area is well developed, the poverty doesn't mean there is a problem in something else. So he keep on hampering, no, you do poverty, but when you go into the field, poverty is not the priority of the community. The community priority is something different. So always suggest to do survey, and 2 or 3 people have very well pointed out this thing, that is the need assessment survey. Okay, though in direct, if they suggest, the management suggests, there is a risk of failure of the program. The next is planning a project. Yeah, give me just 1 minute, I will take a water. Now when you are thinking to do the planning of project, the real crux is this: input indicator, process indicator, output indicator, outcome indicator. How many of you have heard about these things? Tell me very frankly. No means no, yes means yes. Tell me. How many of you, whether it is CSR plan or CER plan, these are the common steps to be followed. How many of you people have heard about this? Indicator-based planning. Input indicator, process indicator, output indicator, outcome indicator. What is this outcome indicator? Yes. Oh, Paulina. Paulina has worked with me. He knows very well. Okay, no, never mind. Shilpa, no, never mind. Okay. I know. Most of the answer will be no. Why? Because you have never thought it. I have taken in the beginning of my career, I used to work in the one of the renowned institute, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. I have taken several training about this and several methods to do it. So whenever I do, I do this way. I will define my inputs, whatever inputs I have to do it, as a manpower, as a resource, and then they convert it into input indicator, measurable indicator. So whenever you are going to make a report, you first define what are your input indicators, what is your process indicator, how many trainings, how many people you are going to train, how many resources you are going to utilize, right? That is all process indicator. And what is the output? How many people have been trained? How many people have been given services? How many people have been uplifted from the poverty? And what is the outcome indicator? Is the rate, maternal mortality rate, poverty index. These are outcome indicator. When you calculate, when you have all input indicators, process indicator, output indicator, it becomes easy to quantify them as an outcome indicator of that particular intervention. Suppose you are talking about the poverty, then poverty index. Based on these three index, you can calculate the poverty index. Or you have to design the outcome indicators in such a way that these three input, process, output indicators are defined in a such way that can be used to define outcome indicator. And our all your what do you call your result, your efforts is related to the outcome indicator, the final indicator by which you will be judged whether you have done a good job or a wrong, whether you are in an entity or a government entity. They see what is the outcome indicator, outcome. If you have designed an intervention for maternal and child health care, how many people have been vaccinated, how many mothers have been hospitalized, institutional delivery, and then you calculate the rates or maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate. All these are outcome indicators. If you go for the water, the same is thing, water index, right? If you go for energy, energy index. So until and unless you design very logically, and if you do, I remember there are many tools, but I used to do with this. This is called logical framework. It is very big to explain in relation to input, process, output indicator. And before, I tell you one thing which I forgot to tell you in the beginning. I received one call from a young lady, and she was insisting me to take one example of social, one example of environmental, and explain directly from your operational plan. We wanted to know operational plan, sir, and that is, she was very real. Maneka, if you would have told me earlier, I would have designed the presentation in that way, because people wanted to know how it is been executed. Whatever I said, you can read it now, whatever you got it. But this is the most important aspect of your execution plan. And many people do mistake here, and they will shout at me, whatever you have taught me. I haven't taught you anything in relation to operational and execution plan. This is the most important. I took almost 5 to 6 training with the international body in this regard. So I am master myself how to do this. And I mastered this logical framework, at least in 10 to 12 project, I did it. Problem to solution, convert problem to solution, and decision, design, monitor, and evaluation indicators, whatever I said it, indicator based. And lastly is a time bounded. It is not that abhi 1 year, 1 month hoga. No, everything is standard. If your intervention is to be done for 1.5 years, it means your intervention in that particular area for among that particular community, it should cover all within 1.5 years. That should be your target, right? If you want to give training in 3 months, it means 3 months your training course will be over. So this is time bound. Very good, very good. This management tool is there, LFA, logical framework. It make you, there is a certain, it is basically designed from the UK, and they have a, what do you call, Excel sheet of that. And they ask several questions before you design, which sector you are selecting, and accordingly all variable will be changed, and they started filling that, and you will understand really. And it's very nice, very nice. So now since ESG is coming, CSR already is there, right? SDG is coming. So I must insist all the participants to learn to do scientific way. so that your output is measurable and your performance is judged. Okay. Next is, when you are working in an area, selecting partners, right? Expert consultancy like me, who had been designed, usually 1 to 3 years, they want me to remain with them before they complete the one phase. There are several phases. So it all depends upon you, how you are going to, and when you are dealing in the community, which community people you have to take in the beginning, at the end, and at the policy level. See, when they do something good work, then it goes to the policy. Hey, such and such organization is doing in some villages, such and such things have been happened. All the district administration will come over there to see it. It is not one thing. CSR is not one thing. C is not. If you develop something innovation, everybody will be coming to you. So selecting his partner, including all these things, you have to design yourself. You have to think yourself logically to whom you have to involve and at what level, at which time you have to involve all these things. Then come a need assessment survey. I have already told you, but something is missing. See, when there is a resources constraint, then there is a 10-kilometer radial distance, and most of the people, you say, if you don't have enough fund, so how you will start? I will say, do phase wise. In phase 1, you take 5-kilometer radial distance villages and which are in need. So you take 5 to 10 villages initial phase 1. Phase 2, you take another 15 villages. In phase 3, you another go beyond 5 kilometers, take 10 villages. Do phase wise depending upon the fund, because they have also fund concern and their priority is doing business. Still, the mindset is business. The CSR, CER are the subset. Already you have taken the survey initially where you say it is a burden and all that. Still that prevails in the community, entity, corporate entity. They don't feel the inner feeling of doing the philanthropic activity is still not had come. Only 5% organization. You also know which are these organizations. Recently, a big giant has left our world. He's a great philanthropist, right? So that thing will be there. Then either you do go for the entire village or sample village, design it up to the management. You have to decide with them. Then you have to design the tool. Now the designing tool is the most important thing. First thing is you have to understand the village level demand, and other is the household individual demand, is a household survey. Depending upon, first you must go for the, if you have selected 10 villages, you have to do 10 village survey, that is focus group discussion or PLA technique. What is this PLA technique? Has anybody done this PLA technique? Have undergone this course? PLA technique, participatory learning action technique. It's very important and to work at the grassroots level. Earthquake, and when one person named in several innovative methodology. If you go in a illiterate tribal area and you want to extract the information, how you can do it? A very good nice. Either you go for FGD or PLA technique, that village level. Then everything will be coming out. I have done in a tribal villages where there is a language problem. And this PLA technique is totally a pictorial technique where you open a chart and ask them to do this and this, and they do, and real pictures come out. I have used this technique with old people. I have been assigned a project that you have to compare the situation of an area 30 years back and now of an area, what is the environment condition of it. How you can do, you can go for the satellite imagery. I went for the satellite imagery. That particular period of satellite imagery, there was no satellite imagery of that area. I was in a fix what to do. Immediately I remembered PLA technique, and after reading few techniques, I went into the village and I selected a group of people. Which group of people? The oldies who are 80-year-old, 70 years old. And then everything came out. Here there was a river, now it is nothing river. River have dried up. Everything. So the environmental impact, what is, I can calculate that. Similarly, if you want to design for water, poverty, health, you have to use this technique. There are several techniques, but I mostly FGD and PLA technique. If anybody wants, I had a soft copy of a PLA technique. At the end, my email address is there. You can ask me, I can send you free of cost. And when you go into the village, there will be individual demand that I need livelihood, I need something training, I need. So at that time you do, here you again come across a gender component. When you explore a family or a household, the gender component become a thing of what is the status of woman. Then you can design accordingly the gender things. Okay, then you have to collect information infrastructure level, service level, and program level. What is the need of the resident community in relation to infrastructure and services? And third one is related to you at program. When you design a program, what are the requirements that are based on the infrastructure and the service level? Okay, so let us move now fast. Now, operational strategy, already I told you all these verifiable indicator. No doubt, review meeting, you should have a field office, operational office, head office, activity reporting, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever you decide with the corporate entity, how you are going to do. This is a routine monitoring steps which you have to do it. And last one is the reporting system, activity report, financial report, book auditing keeping. That is these two things are very nominal, and one must have these two in their routine aspect while doing intervention. Now comes what is the philanthropic structure. Why company should do it? Oh, CSR aa gaya, we have to do it. We don't have time. There are two type of entity we will see whenever you go for this intervention, that a company has its own entity to execute CSR activity. A company hires external body to execute CSR activity. So there are provisions made in this regard. That is the trust, society, and company, non-profit company. Big giants, big corporate house have their own foundation, either registered in the Trust, Society, or Company Act. So they assigned a department to look after the community needs and do the philanthropic activity in the name of the community. If the corporate entity owned that foundation, then it's well and good. Otherwise, what will happen? This will come. What are the merit? Their responsibility. Whatever you share either with the department, you have their own foundation, so it is their responsibility to execute. We will give a target, right? Awareness of the reality. Whenever there is a hired agency or their own foundation, they know reality about the grassroots level. They are in the constant touch with the community, so they know the exact situation of that particular area, while the management doesn't know anything. So these are the merits working with an NGO. If you have your own NGO, then you don't have to face any demerits. But if you have hired an NGO, then there are several demerits also, totally dependent upon them. Why? Because you have given the contract to that particular agency to execute on the behalf of that particular corporate. Here you are totally dependent. Corporate efforts would be taken directly by NGO. See, money is being given by the corporate. The fame is given to the NGO. And here the conflict starts between the corporate entity and the service NGO. They will always project as if they are doing, but actually it is the corporate. So while doing a negotiation with the NGO, keep these things in mind. Antagonism and protest. Sometimes what happened, it depends if they don't give the required resources or whatever the demand the service NGO want, they will make an antagonism activity among the community against the corporate entity. Such things have also happened. then manipulation of the image, they do something, show something, then very high expense. If the total amount is 1 crore and they are demanding above 10 lakhs, then it is very high expense. 10% of the amount should be given to the service NGO, while the 90% of the amount should be used in the intervention, not the 50%. It should not be a profit-making organization, but bearable expense should be there. So this is also a conflicting point. Company employee doesn't realize social responsibility. This is one of the most important thing which I want to highlight, that the company say we are in the business, that is not our responsibility. So the inculcation of the philanthropic nature among the employed remain absent and totally dissolved. The man may or may not agree with many issues. The NGO will show you such and see. The management may or may not agree to it. Company reputation was largely affected if a wrong or falsifies image. It happened. The NGO project the image such we have done it, and when the third party come or any what you call media person come, they find a different situation, and all the image is shattered. Company image is shattered. So these are the risk point, demerits point. Keep it in mind while negotiating a third party organization, right? Task specific. When you negotiate with an NGO, then keep this time. You have to give them target, task specific, phase wise, short term commitment, two-way negotiation, desirable commitment. You take the commitment, whatever demerits I have shown you, you negotiate from here only. That is the institutional mechanism which majority of the people are not doing, and that is why the conflict starts. Then these are the most important thing when internal team is there, continuous monitoring. This is one of the more, do not rely upon what the NGO say. Your team should be there who should monitor it, what they are doing it, NGO. External, or you hire a third party to know the impact, right? What is the baseline, what is the midline, and what is the end line evaluation of that particular program. And now comes the auditing by approved auditors. If any social indicators and they good are such a good thing, then an external auditor, that is called, what is their impact assessment. Monitoring is also there. And monitoring, it is been specialized by specialized job, licensed job, done by a special auditor who have been assigned licensed, who have passed the exam. All those things are there, right? And these are the very common activity, generating data and reports. The way you have to do, you have to decide yourself. Now the last part is the external auditing, and this is the most important part which majority of the people doesn't do. In India, it has started since 2000 onwards. Earlier it was not there, but with the international, seeing the international setup, country-specific things have started doing it, and India, government of India have taken many initiatives. I will be showing. Now, if you want to talk, audit the greenhouse gas emission, then what comes? ISO 1460. What does it focus? Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3 is been done with the ISO 64. See, I have done this. I will give you PDF. You do the search and you will find in detail everything. I am not going to cover all those things. So for knowing the emission or the greenhouse gas emission, you must have certification of these things. Of course, similarly, if you want to calculate the carbon and water footprint, because CER, corporate environment responsibility, and you claim we have reduced the carbon footprint, we have reduced the water footprint. So there are auditors who will be coming and will be checking your, and this is the certification. 14067, 14066 is meant for, this is for water footprint and this is for carbon footprint. Earlier what I showed is the greenhouse gas emission, and here I am showing the carbon footprint. There is a much difference between these two. And if you take about the carbon footprint, you will be surprised what is going on in the market. People do this course. I have also completed this course, 164, and see, I am an auditor of this thing. Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3. But actually, you have to do all these 5 courses to complete it. What is this? The 6465 is requirement for greenhouse gas validation and verification bodies. 6 is the competence of the requirement of greenhouse gas validation and verification in team. And 6.7 is specifically addressed to carbon footprint of the product. See what is the difference, how you have been befooled. Both where you take training, it will cover, but it is not true. The international classification say greenhouse quantification is something else and verification or carbon footprint is something else. If you have done these all 4 to 5 courses, quantification, got the lesson, then you are an expert of greenhouse gas emission auditor or carbon footprint auditor. Lot of false rumors are going and people are practicing in the market. Next is water footprint. What if you want to become a water footprint, then this course you have to do it. And these are the 3 activities you have to know for doing the water footprint. Consider life cycle, product process of organism, very difficult. Method assess the potential environment impact related to water. Lot of methods are there. To become an auditor is also a good career, right? Especially for people like me who have done a lot of field work, 20 to 30 years experience, me, Sharma sir, Shyam sir, they are highly experienced people. So they can become an auditor. Some are, they have already, Sharma sir and Shyam sir are already environmental auditor with NABIT. So this is also one of the option for the young professional. If they have some experience, they can do it. Now, SEBI, our India government have introduced a format in which whatever today in previous slide I have told you about the ISO classification. Now at national level, SEBI is a body, regulatory body, who have defined the various way of calculating greenhouse gas emission, water. At country level it has, and who is doing validating, all they have done it. SEBI has done it. They have the auditors. If you send this is actually basic core format, and they have a report. You fill it in ESG while doing the ESG intervention, which includes CER and CSR also. Even the biodiversity information is also there. When you fill it, it goes to the SEBI, and then SEBI sent to the expert to check the greenwashing. What is the greenwashing? Aggregated to check whether that figure, whatever been mentioned in the report, are true or not. Then validation come, validation expert do the validation, and then they give a score to that particular company related to ESG score, and with that score it is listed at the stock exchange, and then the investor invests in the company. This is the entire process going on, the market mechanism. So we have also started, not only we have to follow ISO, but at the country level we have to follow. I will be coming all these things. Energy footprint. For energy footprint, you have to do ISO 502. You must energy audit. 501. And then this is the entire. If you 502 is okay, but you have to do 503, 506, 501, then you are a complete energy auditor. Right? What happened in my case, and corporate entity was a very good friend of mine. Hey, you come here, I have work for you. What work? And you come to my office, then I will tell you. Okay, at present, and he was living 200 kilometers away. Okay, I will come such and such. I went there wasting my petrol and time, and he was asking me to do energy audit. Energy audit is a very specialized, they had certain condition. You need an engineer background to be an assessor. I said I didn't fit in. So this sort of illiteracy is there. Then I showed why you need ISO. No, it is there. See, ISO international system. मैंने कहा no. Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Indian government of India have designed a scheme to be an auditor. What is that scheme? Go to this side. I have given you in the brief how to do it, and you become an energy auditor. I cannot be an energy auditor because I am not from the engineering background. Though I can pass out, there is nothing wrong. And they also, there is no much, what do you call, they are very flexible in this regard. But everywhere I have to do it, no. Let it be for other people, engineering people. They know much better than what I know. So you have to decide your priority. Whatever you claim in a LGT, or external auditor will be coming to check your achievement. So this is also one of the way to make career. Then India Green Credit Program recently launched in 2003. Government of India, see what is Green Credit Program. Earlier we have to depend on the international agency and their mercy whether they will give a green credit to us or not. Now you don't have to rely. Government of India has come up. You can be an auditor of this. It's a very big scheme. You have to register several ways, and we have defined our own methodology to calculating. Earlier we have to rely upon the international methodology. See, now we are doing slowly India is also coming up, and you can also be a panel auditor on this in this green credit program. Lot of way to make a career. CSR and CAR have opened lot of avenue for making a career. This is the first guideline. I have completed this course, which is not a certification. This is particular guideline if you want to evaluate CSR program, then what is the framework to evaluate an organization and what principle you have to adopt. This is at international level. Think logically. When you enter an entity, are you going to explore organization governance, human right, labor practice, environment? Can you do it? Can you ask the management? You can only ask if you are an authorized person. Otherwise, when I went, I was not allowed to take any of these aspects except the intervention part. Do not write anything related to human right, labor practice of our organization. And I can see the pitfall going on. I received a complaint from the workers, but I cannot write because I am not an auditor. This is the difference for a professional and an auditor. If you become an auditor, then you are bound with a framework to be evaluated. Okay, so I will insist all experience should have some sort of auditing certificate. Social accountability, you have SA 8000. Again, there are tools, various tools, you can use it and you can do the auditing. Why I'm putting, do not look as a professional for designing intervention. You can be audited provided that you have a sufficient experience and the subject knowledge. Third party certification. There are two certifications. If you do these courses, you have become auditor and you can do the auditing of any CSR. Even you, if you do this GRI standard, see community impact. Community impact is there. I know none of the participants would be knowing all these things because they are only in the clutches of CSR intervention and all of 17 sustainable indicators. Nobody sees these things. This is also one of the options to make a career. Only thing is you must have a sufficient experience. See, in India, being a social auditor, Ministry of Corporate Affairs has some scheme. So this is red mark is only for the financial auditing. The finance used in the social auditing, if you go to this site, it is not meant for us. Our is self-regulatory organization, you register here and you become a social auditor. This and the last general circular, you go through the general circular, you will understand how to do auditing of corporate social responsibility or corporate environmental responsibility. Okay. I have shared a lot of experience. I will be skipping now this slide because most of the things I have told you, and this is my experience to the various company in relation to the corporate social responsibility, corporate environment responsibility, ESG. The red mark is something which is missing. The green mark is something very positive. It happened with me, right? So This I have already discussed, so I would not be detailing because we are out of time also. This is my last slide, and I am on time. I want to complete by 1 o'clock, so half an hour we can have a discussion if there is any discussion. Now, what is all this thing today? Why this presentation I have made? Based on this slide, what you judge? I give you 1 minute to think. Okay, let me tell you. You people are not thinking. I am suppose sitting at the policy level. Now I have faced all these things. Whenever I used to go to any corporate entity earlier, before 2013, in spite of the tort condition, they say we are least concerned about your social. We are only concerned with the economic indicator, that is GDP. अगर हम नहीं होते तो कुछ नहीं होता. We are monopolized institution. If we stop, your GDP will go down. That is the thinking before 2013 or before 2010 with me. And I've been threatened also. अरे कहाँ से आ गए? ये tort condition, what will happen? We know how to get the permission from EC and all that. They don't have any importance with the social index. Then I tell you, at the international level, if a country is seen in two ways, with the GDP and SDG. So this is the situation of GDP 2010. I took a very neutral data, a World Bank. The situation is that we are progressing, then there is a down, then is a total in negative, that is during COVID time, and there is a rise, and now it is around 7, 6 point something or 7 something or 7.2 something. The GDP is there. But this GDP is not variable. Ultimately, even if we touch 10, our social index is not correct. This is why I say race against time, GDP versus SDGP, right? If your SDG are poor, then the value of GDP becomes down. If your SDG is good, but your GDP is poor, then the country situation is down, right? But if your SDG and GDP are going parallel, then you are a progressive country. And this is what United Nations is doing analysis of these things. And I have taken a part of it to make the corporate entity realize that it is not only GDP. Now the country is viewed with the SDG and index scoring of SDG based on the 17. This is at international level what the methodology, because they are dealing with the countries and they have their separate methodology, and this is the achievement we have made in SDG score. There's a social index, and this is the Niti Aayog, the policy making. They have done this analysis. As to him, we have 71 score in 2003 and 4, while here it is a system from January to December. So the guess figure of here is 63.45, but I have seen the 2024 figure which is near to this. It is 69. During October it is 69 estimated. By the December, maybe to 2024 we will touch 70. Means our SDG global rank, India in comparison with other country, may shift from 112 to 109 or even below 100. So what I meant to say, and how this SDG, it is not only with the GDP. These are the 17 indicators which I have explained to you. It all depend upon these 17 indicators. Environment, social and governance. If you want to improve environment and social, your governance fund should be very strong in an entity. So this is what I mean to say, that wherever you say or go for your this negotiation CSR, CER, make them realize that it is not only GDP, it is also SDG. Your contribution to the society, not only for making a profit business house, you are also responsible to create a clean and green environment with the social equity. Okay, got the main crux of today's presentation is this, and here I end, and I am open to question answer session. And I request, I'm very thankful to all the participants who coolly and calmly and listen my presentation. Now I hand over to the mic to Sharma sir, and we shall start the question answer session. If anybody is having any type of question, please let me know. We have still 25 minutes. Unmute your mic. Yeah, PPT will be shared. See, my email ID is there. So anybody having any question, you can ask. If anybody wants any report, resource, web link, please write to me. I will help. Definitely. Free of course, there is no fee. Hey, there is no question. It means my session is boring. Okay, tell me. Yeah. Actually, CER activity budget is basically till the new project is executed. Suppose TOR comes and there is a condition that you have to do the 5% of year. That 5% of the amount should be consumed till that particular plant is in operationalized. So that limit is there. Suppose that plant will take around 2 years to develop. That CER budget mandatory should be completed within 2 years. This is the ethical norms. Otherwise, I don't know how people are doing in their way. That is one of the major problem. But ethically, we should. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good, good, good. Very nice question. Sir, there was a question. Penalty. It is, it is very high penalty. It is a very high penalty because you made everything. अरे घनश्याम, घनश्याम भाई तुम्हें, आपको तो मेरा बहुत दे रखा है, कितने आपने, यू हैव अटेंडेड मेनी ऑफ माय प्रेजेंटेशन एंड इफ यू सी देयर इज अ सीआर format also, even then I will send you, even then I will send you. Now you tell me everybody. Okay, you, yeah, 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 you no, no, you cannot mix up, you cannot mix up. One. Tell me now one thing, I before we end up. I think people are not asking questions. I was expecting the way. Okay, tell me how many people got whatever I have presented today as a content. What percentage is new for them? I don't want what is my bad or good. Forget, that's very old concept. Now I usually ask how many people are benefit, what percentage of this content of presentation is new to them. Out of 100, you have to give the percentage that is new to them, to you people. Huh? Compliance. So only one.
Happily returns.
33 people are there, nobody is responding. No, no, there is one more query. How to manage. Actually, Hitendra Bhai, I tell you, if CSR that process is over, it is by large the entity, corporate entity, integrates it with the CSR activity, right? They will continue if they see the result goods. They will continue. When CSR is over, the same particular activity is come under the head of CSR because that funding is over, but the results are coming very good. So they want to continue, or otherwise they will stop also. Depend upon the entity, right? If you want
Yes,
to
sir.
continue,
Such activities are also for has to be continue for monitoring and evaluation of the
mm,
sustainability of that particular. It depends upon how what are the in which area the projects are activities are issues are registered for the CER. It can
I couldn't
be.
because your voice is cut, not proper, so I couldn't hear the. Could you write it on the chat so that I can answer it? Your voice is not coming up, madam. Please write on the chat your question. Rest other, please mention what percentage of new content you have. Very good question. That is ownership. You are telling about the ownership. Basically, what happens? I tell you, I have told you, you have to adopt two principles. Your sustainability, that your future generation is not affected, and your activity remain continue. So when we talk about the continuity, then the question arises about the ownership. To whom activity should be landed or given so it can continue. This is what I mean. So that way, if you see, the panchayat are the good or the individuals groups. You form a community level group that is called a self-help group in the villages. They do take the ownership of that particular entity and they run by themselves. I give you one example. I was